Hello students and welcome to the second part of lesson 5. Let's get this second example done. See what I did there? Anyway, so question 14. Guys, it's a long question, but it is a good question. Probably because it's such a long question, because it is complicated and it does require us to think quite a bit. Anyway, so the Dunn family departs from home for a caravan trip. They travel at a rate of 80 kilometres per hour. The distance they travel from home in kilometres can be modelled by a linear equation. Write the value of the gradient of the graph of this linear equation. Well, students, gradient represents rate of change. Okay? If I am travelling 80 kilometres per hour, that is my gradient. The gradient here is 80. So what does this mean? It's basically saying every hour on the road, they travel 80 kilometres. Gradient tells us how fast a line is going up or how fast a line is going down. So in this context of this question, if they're travelling 80 kilometres an hour, their gradient is 80. Part B, write the value of the y-intercept. Explain what this means in the context of the problem. Well, the y-intercept, guys, it's 0, 0, the origin. How do I know that? Well, the Dunn family would have started at home. This equation that we're working towards represents how far the Dunn family is, how far they are from their home. So when they started, they were 0 metres from their home at 0 hours. Therefore, the y-intercept is the origin. It's 0, 0. So part C, using your values from parts A and B, write an equation to represent the distance the Dunn family are from home at any given point in time. Also, students, apologies for the blue line in the middle of the page here. That is the photocopier scanning incorrectly again. I'm sure you'll manage though. Anyway, so guys, I decided to let D represent distance from home and H represent hours travelled. I could have used X and Y, but I figured, well, D is logical for distance, H is logical for hours. I could have used K for kilometres travelled and T for time, but I just went with D and H. So this is my equation. The Dunn's family's distance from home is equal to 80 multiplied by number of hours they have travelled. So, part D. How long in hours have the family been travelled? Let me try that again. How long in hours have the family travelled when they're 175 kilometres from home? So basically, if they've travelled 175 kilometres, I need to substitute D equals 175 into my equation. So I'm going to replace the letter D with 175, as I've done here. Then I move the 80 over here. What's the opposite of multiplying H by 80? Dividing by 80. So H is equal to 175 divided by 80, which is 2.1875. So H is equal to 2.1875. So they have been, and then of course, as it's a worded question, I need to give a worded answer. Now students, if I wanted to be a little more precise and figure that out to the nearest minute, well, we don't really measure minutes in decimal form, do we? So what I could do, I'm just bringing out my calculator here, well, they've travelled 2 full hours and 0.1875 of an hour. So 0.1875 of an hour multiplied by 60 minutes, they've travelled basically 2 hours and 11 minutes. I think we can drop off the 0.25 of a minute, yeah? Anyway, you'll note I've got a little bubble here asking are these reasonable. I will come back to that in a moment. Anyway, part E. The Dunn family travels for 2.5 hours before stopping. Determine the distance they are from home. Well, this one, surprisingly, is a little bit easier than part D, in my opinion. We're basically subbing H equals 2.5 into my equation. So I replace the letter H with the number 2.5. 80 multiplied by 2.5 gives me 200. So their distance from home after 2.5 hours is 200 kilometres. And of course, worded question, need a worded statement here for my solution. So with the little bubble here, are these reasonable? Guys, as we have a worded question, we can actually reflect and think, well, is this a logical answer? And yeah, guys, if I travelled 175 kilometres, that would probably take me about 2 hours. 175 k's is about the distance from Thornlands to Noosa. If I was going from here all the way to the top of the Sunshine Coast, yeah, that would probably take over 2 hours. On the other hand, if I've been driving for 2.5 hours, so if I'm driving, again, let's say from Thornlands all the way maybe to Tweed Heads, just across the border, I'm probably travelling about 200 kilometres. Always pause and reflect as to whether these answers are reasonable. because it's a good way to pick up mistakes. Anyway, students, that is the last example I have for lesson 5. Now, for lesson 6, in case it's not clear on the OneNote, what you'll be doing is an online quiz. We do need to check how you're going with your learning at home. So students, stay tuned, have a look at lesson 6 when it's available, and we'll explain what to do then. Otherwise, guys, at this point, what I want you to do is go back to the OneNote and complete the remaining questions outlined in the exercise. Good luck, and I hope you have no trouble getting these questions done. You get it? Because the done family? Anyway, look, guys, I'll leave you to it.